Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos, and welcome to Heroic Nexus Princess Ky'vexa, which is the 6th or 5th boss in the raid, and it's really cool. So first off, you might notice that I'm playing DPS rather than tank in this. We figured out you could one-tank this during testing. That often happens during PTR testing, as we find some way you can one-tank a boss, and then they make it so that doesn't actually work when it comes live. So here's this Nether Rift ability. Each of these Nether Rifts will one-shot you if you get sucked into them, and they all grip you. At the start of the fight, there will be 4. Later on in the fight, there will be more of them, and they will grip you towards them equally powerfully. So if you put all 4 in the same spot, which you can control where they are from various mechanics, then you get turbo gripped towards them and killed. But if you put them on the edges of the room, then when you get those grips, instead you get sort of equally pulled, right? Like here there's 3 in front, but there's also 1 behind, and that's pulling us a little bit. So we have to run away from these 3 a little bit, but if there was 4 all on the same side, we would have gotten killed basically by them. Then this other mechanic that's happening here is Twilight Massacre, and you can see what it looks like when you're targeted by one of these. These shadows will dash to you, and they will dash through you and a couple of yards past you even, and also through anybody else they hit. Everybody they hit will get a dot for a little bit of time. When that dot expires, you shoot out those orbs that you just saw, and then that also relocates the shadows. Here's the intermission phase, where the boss consumes all the shadows and starts an intermission, and this intermission, I mean, is just obviously incredible looking. You have these rotating pizza slice pattern zones that you need to dodge, and you also have a mechanic very similar to Fire Act Blazes, where you need to make sure you dodge the blaze from other people. It's a little bit shorter than the Fire Act Blazes, so it goes over less of the room, and obviously you don't have other stuff you need to avoid with it, but that is that mechanic. Now, okay, so we're back into a main phase here, and this is just like the start of the fight, except now, instead of spawning 3 shadows, she's going to spawn 4, and here's how the shadows get spawned, is the boss casts, I think it's Assassination, yeah, and you get marked for Assassination, so you see me and 3 other people have this, and what we're going to do is we're going to head out to different parts of the room and just create our shadows over on the sides, and then the boss is going to get dragged as well, because each of the shadows and the boss create these Nether Rifts, and so again, we have 5 kind of equally spread around the room, and everybody is getting gripped there. If you get marked by the Assassination, 10 seconds, you get a dot for 10 seconds after as well, and that spawns those orbs too. Here again, we have people being targeted by this dash through, and they're trying to just run close to the ad that's targeting them, make sure that the ads are staying, or the shadows are staying kind of in the edges of the room. And then we have these shadow daggers where the boss and the ads are just throwing these daggers out. 10 seconds after those dashes, orbs are being shot out by the players who had it. And again, we now have the shadows and the bosses all performing these rifts that are gripping us around. We're trying to avoid getting too gripped by those, right? So keeping them in good spots. Again, people getting targeted, people running out. This one's a little bit less important because we're not going to get another set of portals before the intermission, so it's kind of okay if they all end up on the same side of the room at this point. And then again, another little daggers cast, dots expiring, so orbs come out. Dodge those orbs because they actually do quite a bit of damage. And we go into the second intermission. This intermission is pretty much the same as the first one. There's some pulsing damage in this phase, and then also people being targeted by effectively the blazes, like from Fire Act. Bunch of damage, that you want to try and not take. Throughout this whole fight, there's another mechanic. Throughout the whole fight, if you ever drop below 10% health, the boss will try and execute you. And it's kind of, if you ever played League of Legends, it's like Elder Dragon Execute, where like a second after you hit 10% health, you just get blasted for like 2 million damage. Which is actually not a full health bar. That's like half a health bar with our current levels of health. And that is a pretty scary thing. It'll proc cheats though. It won't go through cheat, anything like that. So yeah, you really want to try and avoid ever getting to 10% health on this fight. You basically have 10% less health in a lot of cases on this one. Okay, so then again, we have Nether Rifts. Again, people getting gripped. This time we've got 6 Nether Rifts. We've got more orbs to dodge as well because there were more, right? We're in this phase now. There's 5 shadows. 5 people get dashed through each time there's a dash. 5 people get the debuff at the start of the fight. And so you can see now 5 people have this dot, which means we're going to have 5 people spawning orbs. So it gets more and more hectic throughout the fight. Not only do we have more base damage because we've got more dots out, we also have more dodges to do. And the Nether Rifts, there's also more of them. So you can see, again, you know, they're kind of clumped in one side of the room here, so the grip is a little bit more powerful in that direction. So I kind of hovered and I'm pushing. I'm actually running in the other direction here, and it is a medium strength grip. If they're all on the same side as you, it's a really strong grip, is basically the way that works. But if you've got like, if it's just like 5-1 or 4-2, it's livable. Then we have the last Nexus daggers of the fight, I believe, and then we're going to enter the Enrage time, which this fight has a sweet Enrage. So here is the final Eternal Night cast, which this one is, so now you can see instead of there being 2 pizza slices, there's 3. And this looks okay enough, you know, all right, as far as Enrages go, not too scary. You do this for a little while. This is the part where you're supposed to kill the boss, but we don't have that much damage, and you know, people are dying, but mostly we just don't have that much damage. I'm not doing that much damage, as you can see on the damage meters here. But after 10 of these pulses, 10 of these pizza slices, the boss gets real mad and decides that it's time for the fight to be over. And this is what that looks like. Bang! Everybody's dead. And you can maybe, actually our Blood DK could live here for quite a while. He could live for like a minute into this, because it doesn't actually ramp up in damage, it just keeps blasting you. So maybe you could take it over the finish line, like 30 seconds or something like that with a Blood DK. But other than that, this is the Enrage of the fight. This is the end of the fight. Really cool fight. I mean, the visuals on this fight are phenomenal. The mechanics are pretty cool. The gameplay is pretty fun. It's pretty reactive, you know, pretty natural to play. Not too annoying, not too weak auras based, largely kind of just good reaction. I like it. I like this fight a lot. I think this is going to be a really, really, really good one. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.